on Intervision FM. You think I've done this enough times where it would just be like smooth sailing. But what can I say? We have no budget. We have no budget, and it is what it is. It is what it is, right? So anyway, Craig Silverman, interesting guy. If you haven't heard, Craig Silverman said that he was fired on KNUS because he said something bad about President Trump, and they didn't like it, so they relieved him of his duties. Okay? And in the fake world of the channels that you now see on NBC, ABC, some of our local channels as well, you might be tempted to believe something like that, and then again, if you look deeper into the picture, you'll find out that these left-wing channels, they lie quite a bit. Now let me break down some things just as a listener and somebody who's listened to the talk radio for many years and doing my talk show thing sort of like here as well. in a strange way. I started listening to talk radio, I guess maybe when I was like 13 years old. I think I started calling them as well around that time, and people were kind of fascinated that a 13-year-old boy would be listening to talk radio. But it was interesting radio because I thought, call up these stations and you could say your opinions. And I really enjoyed, listening and being heard. So, let me close this up. Okay, sorry about that. Okay. Let me say hello to the people that are watching. Parley Martin, thank you for watching. Doug Castle, thank you for watching. So anyway, let's get back to this Craig Silverman thing. And so when I got into my a little bit older teens, I started listening to Alan Berg, which some people would say, he was very harsh, personality. And one minute he would be your friend, the next minute, he would cut you up. And I didn't know the anger that he expressed was because he was an epilepticist, and he really hated that, and he went in for experimental surgery, and some of the guys who went in didn't make it, but he made it, only to be gunned down in 1982 because of what he said on the radio. And these area nations took it to the serious degree that they figured they had to kill certain people, and he was on the list. And because he didn't live in a guarded community, and they figured that he would be the easiest target, they shot him down in his parking lot as he did the late night shift, and he got off work about 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night. And so these cowards, shot him down. Now, he really knew how to do radio as as Allenberg, a real talented man. They did an expose on him in 60 Minutes. He knew how to draw people in and get people listening to the show. Now, Craig Silverman, Allenberg was a lawyer. He was disbarred because of the alcoholism and so forth, and he went into selling shirts. He got a clothing store, and Craig Silverman, he's a lawyer. He's from Denver, Colorado. Allenberg was from Chicago, and in the early '90s, when the controversy over the John Bonet thing was happening, Dan Caplis and Craig Silverman were really hitting their stride as a talk show team. And for whatever reason, the station changed format, got iHeart Radio. It changed from another name to iHeart Radio, took over the station, and they started letting people go to save money and to do whatever they were doing in a corporate way. So that team was broken up. And I understand it because I when I was starting, later on in the radio business, I got with this guy named Dan Byers, and we were doing my television shows on Channel 12, and he was into heavy metal, rock, grunge music, and I was into a variety of music. And I would, invite guests to come on the show that were different than the kind of people that he was filming. And my people were getting on the show, my show, and his people were always getting on the show. And he would put on like 6 bands a night of his artists. And I said, well, out of the 6 bands, how come 3 of those bands can't be the bands I've been sending you, and you've been videotaping them and shelving their videos? So we had a falling out, and I went my way, he went his way, and so on and so on. So we never had a chance to get back together. But in this case, Craig Silverman and Dan Caplis have been in and out of radio, and Craig Silverman found his home over at KNUS, as Dan Caplis was there for a minute, and then he left, and then he found his way back on KHOW here in Denver. Well, I guess Dan tried out a few partners. There was one lady, I forgot her name, but she writes news articles and so forth. Capelin, yeah, her last name, I just know her first name is Capelin. And that didn't work out for whatever reason. And then sometimes he has to do court dates where he's at his law office late, to make the main money, and he does sponsorships of different commercials to advertise his law firm, and so does Craig Silverman. And so maybe they've been talking about let's get back together. We were a great team back in the 90s. And we could probably be a great team now, like Laura and Hardy, Abbott and Costello, the Three Stooges. Who knows, in that flavor. Well, who knows how the talking went along, and how it came down to be where they decided they wanted to get back together as a team. But it happened, and they did get back together as a team, and they I guess developed this plan. Maybe Craig developed it by himself. Maybe Dan was a part of it. But it's making for great radio because they're getting some national press. Because Craig Silverman said that KNUS fired him. Salem Broadcast Company, which is mostly run by Christians. They fired him because he was saying bad things about Donald Trump. Now, if you listen to KNUS, you'll hear that that there's agnostics. I wouldn't say, I don't know if he's an atheist, but I would say he's at least agnostic. He has a morning show. You have Chuck and Julie, which, she was a liberal, and then she switched over to being a conservative. And her husband was always a conservative, very intelligent man, Chuck, and Julie's show. And then you have Randy, who comes on Saturday morning, the only conservative show on Saturday mornings. And you had Craig Silverman and some of the other guys I don't remember. Sorry about that. It's just sometimes I switch over to KLZ and I listen to Rush, Dan Rush over there, or no, John Rush over there. And I like to skip around. I haven't been able to listen to what on Sirius Radio. They have a black liberal show for the most part, and I just can't handle it. So I don't listen to that. And if you're just joining us, you're watching Intervision FM. My name is Johnny J. Yes, we have some technical difficulties with camera falling over because we have no budget. Our website is intervisionrecords.org. If you're watching this on Facebook, oh man, if you're watching this on Facebook, yeah, you can put this in the bloopers, right? Please subscribe, donate at paypal.me/IntervisionDenver, right? So we can get a budget and I could hire me a camera person, right? But anyway, join us also on our top 20 countdown on Fridays and Sundays. Fridays at 6 p.m. KUVO 92.9 on the FM dial, 83 HT in the Netherlands, and on Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. also on KUHS Denver every Sunday. It's the full 2-hour show. And join our mailing list on intervisionrecords.org. So we're talking about Craig Silverman. Is he a Judas Iscariot? Jesus had his Judas Iscariot, the one who betrayed him. Is Craig Silverman that to KNUS radio? Some people might say yes, and then some people might say, it was a good publicity stunt that they did. But and for the people who can be watching, is going to be watching this later. Right now, this might not be on your radar, but it's causing a stir. Craig Silverman is getting some national press, and maybe this might get him to a level where he's making more money as a talk show host than as a lawyer. Can't imagine, but who knows? Maybe this may catapult him into the national field, and he can get signed on as a contract reporter for the left, and I see him as a moderate left, just from listening to him on this radio show. But I'm thinking, okay, let me throw this out there, that if anybody knows Casper Stockham, who is going to be running for Senate, and he's ran for a few offices in the past, and he went for to get a seat, and unfortunately he didn't win that. But I would love to see Casper Stockham take that Saturday slot, and be the only local black radio co-host on a conservative station here in Denver, Colorado. Now we did have Ken Hamlin, and as I understand, Ken Hamlin is now 80 years old. He played the game. He made some great money. He made a splash, but I guess he decided to retire and relax a little bit instead of going to these shows where people are talking crazy and liberals or just throwing crazy stuff at him and saying some pretty crazy things back in the day. But I would love to see this, and I understand that because this is the Midwest. In the East, you guys might be more lucky to hear more diversity in conservative talk show hosts. I know definitely in liberal talk hosts, and here in Denver, because of the makeup of it being in the Midwest, hearing talented black people like doing a full show is rare. You might hear them on hip hop stations. You might hear them on maybe even some other Christian radio stations, and because I'm visually impaired, and can grab somebody with a pair of eyes and say, "Hey, tell me, what's the makeup of this station? What's the makeup of that station?" I do hear like on the traffic reports. There's a black lady that does one. There's an African American guy that does one, and maybe like Peter Boris, he started out in traffic, and then then Bob Lee mentored him, and then they got in a station together, and but you have to start somewhere. So the sisters that I hear, and the black lady I hear doing traffic, and the black brother I hear doing traffic, and then even the guy who has a British accent who's doing traffic, maybe they just haven't got in on the in crowd to be able to make that transition to talk to hosts. But if anybody knows Casper, talk to him and ask him to see, and I dropped a little thing in his online comments there to say, hey, go down and talk to these guys about being the weekend host. Now, some people might say, well, Johnny, you like doing this stuff. Why don't you? Well, this is what I know. I know a lot about music. Politics, because I guess I could memorize a lot of the names, and I know some of the names, but you really have to know the names of these people, and I know enough to be surface in my politics, and I'm just now getting into the fullness of it because I was off into doing something else, musical artists, because I deal with our nonprofit worked with disabled musical artists. So I was off in that field until I woke up one day and said, well, I want Donald Trump to be president. And my wife and I was even in New York when he was coming down the escalators, and he announced that he was running for president. Now I had never been. I'd been in airports in New York, but I never ventured out, and it was only because of her that we got a hotel and we stayed a few days, and I don't think I would have ever did that by myself. Now, me and my friend, we talked about it back when we were in our 20s, but neither one of us had the chutzpah to do that, so we went out to California, and we did that thing. So, by the way, all right, see. Okay, I'm just. So anyway, so if anybody knows Casper, And I love the way he goes into the black community, and he talks to like youth about the Second Amendment and just things that he brings it down to a level where these young guys can understand, and you get a chance to understand that he's not that the Republican Party is not this big boogeyman that the left wing has brainwashed them into believing. But getting back to Craig Silverman, because this is what this is about. I guess the whole station, all they've been talking about today is it's not the fact that Craig Silverman left, that it made the station look like they were a bunch of undercover KK members, which, as far as I know, just from listening to the show, I just think they're just trying to make a living. Don't know why they haven't hired like a black conservative talk show host. I think it would make it easier. I know Larry Elder. He used to come on. They put him on the middle of the night. His show usually comes on like in the afternoons from 4 to 8 on in the east, and I think in California, because he's out of California. And they put him on overnight, like I think around like from midnight till 4, maybe like from 2 to 6 in the morning. And then they had him on for a while, and then they preempted and put on something else, and that was on the station that owns KNUS as well, the business station on the far left-hand side of the dial. But I'm thinking, Craig, this might have been a great move for Craig Silverman to make some more money, as iHeartRadio probably said, hey, we'll give you this much still to do this like 5 days a week, and being a part-timer, weekends, it was probably good money, but it wasn't enough, and it was just a $5,000 watt radio station. And maybe he wanted to make his move and saw that iHeartRadio was offering him a good package, and so he decided to go that direction. I know a lot of people, their feelings are hurt because they said they went through get-togethers as together, and sometimes I guess you think your working colleagues are your friends. Not necessarily. I remember Randy, he said that when Craig Silverman would come in to do a show, sometimes he would say, hey, big dog. And Craig told him, hey, don't call me big dog. I don't like being called a dog. And probably Randy didn't mean nothing about it, but it hurt Craig Silverman's feelings. And so from that point on, Randy, he says, hey, Craig, he just called him by his name instead of calling him, by a nickname or something like that. And I know some people don't appreciate being called nicknames and so forth. I understand that very clearly because, sometimes I don't like to be called nicknames, and I know other people, they don't like nicknames as well. President Donald Trump is very good at giving people nicknames like the Shifty Schiff, and now I don't remember his real name. I just remember Shifty Schiff, right? Or Little Marco, and so, or Pocahontas, right? And my daughter, would I say, Elizabeth Warren is Pocahontas? My daughter says, Daddy, that's racist. And I say, well, yeah, but it is what it is. Then a puppet guy and mudslinging in politics is what they do. So anyway, subscribe. This might not have been the most sexiest topic in the world, but then again, we'll see. We'll see how far Craig Silverman takes this fabrication, because he put the story out there somehow, and they ran with it. He knew that the left-wing news wouldn't check it. They would just use it to say that, here's a conservative radio station, and if you disagree with them, they'll cut you down. Even though on their left-wing stations, they will shut you down as well. And I don't call many of them, but when I listen to them, I just can't stand it, because hearing black people talk that stupid, talk as if they're under this hypnotic. I don't know how to put it. It just makes me very, I guess, irritated, very sad to see that they're just being bamboozled by this Democratic Party to believe that they're going to do something for them. And 50 years later, like Stevie Wonder said when he was awake, "You haven't done nothing for me," but they keep promising, and we keep going back. But anyway, leave your comments below. Give us some suggestions on other topics, and don't forget to go to our website, innovationrecords.org. That's innovationrecords.org. Or call our voicemail at 720-324-7278. And you might see the show after the November the 22nd. I just want to say prayers out to the Kennedy family, as I believe the CIA and the gangsters had something to do with the assassination of John F. Kennedy, but that's for another time. Congratulations to Byron Allen for doing a successful job with suing Comcast, and now the case can go forward, as the Supreme Court said the case can go forward, and since Comcast decided to challenge the Civil Rights Act of 1866. Anyway, so we'll see you the next time here on Innovation FM. This is Johnny J. Subscribe, like this, share it. God bless.